So, welcome everyone. We're delighted to see everyone here. This is an open doors event in partnership with our great members, Otonomee. We're delighted to have amazing speakers that you can see on your screen. They're going to share more about their company, their current roles, give you some tips about their recruitment process as well. So it's a great opportunity for you to engage, ask questions, and learn more about what it's like to work at Otonomee. So the way that the event is going to work today is we will start with that presentation from the company. We're going to have various speakers from different areas. And then at the end, we're going to jump right into our breakout rooms. So we're going to have 3 breakout rooms that I have sent to you over email yesterday. So hopefully you already know which ones they are, but I will go through them in any case. So first one is the support roles. So this is for people interested in HR, marketing, finance, IT, and so on. The second breakout room is for those interested in team manager roles. So to support their teams and help them run the operations that they work within. And finally, the third one is customer support and tech support. So that's for people interested in these roles that support customers via calls, emails, and chat. And I think Michelle is going to run through these as well again in a bit more detail. So you have time to make your choice, but I suppose you probably already know. If you already know which breakout room you want to join, just use the chat function to let me know. Just send me a number. So breakout room 1 for support, 2 for team manager, or 3 for customer and technical support, because then I can already assign you during the presentation to make things easier. If not, we can do that by the time we open the breakout rooms. You will only be able to choose one breakout room, and you should stay in it until the end of the session because there's not enough time to be kind of moving around the breakout rooms. This is really an opportunity for you to ask questions, make connections, so don't be shy. If your cameras and mics are disabled in the breakout room, which I'm hoping they won't be, but I will go in and enable them in the first minute or 2 of the breakout room, so don't worry about it. Just use the chat in the beginning to start the conversation. Just before we get started, just have to do a little bit of housekeeping. So just to let everyone know, the session is being recorded. It will be shared on our YouTube channel, and it will be sent via email to everyone here and to everyone who couldn't attend as well. This does not include the breakout rooms. Those are not recorded, so feel free to turn on your cameras, mics, engage in the conversation without the feeling that you're being recorded. Like I said, cameras and off will stay off during the presentation. If you have a question, just use the chat or the Q&A function, and I'm going to read it out loud to everyone when we have a Q&A. Or you can just use the raise hand function, and I will enable your mic for you temporarily. So I think that's it from me. I'm not going to take any more of your time. I would like to introduce our first speaker, Brendan Ring. He's Chief People Officer at Otonomee. He has over 10 years of experience in HR, and we are very happy to have him here today. So, Brendan, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Lisa. First of all, thank you so much for having us. We're delighted to be here to talk about Otonomee. Any chance we get a chance to talk about Otonomee, we're very happy. So, I suppose just to maybe kick off while Michelle's bringing up the presentation, if people could just put in, what county or what town they're in today, it would give us a really good indication as to who we're speaking to. I know some people are happy when they can't see people. I'm not, so at least if I know where people are from, it'll help me to. So Meath, Dublin. Oh, we have a Cork person, fellow Cork. Dublin, Westmeath, great. Kerry, not too far. Kildare, Dublin. Galway, great. Wexford, Westport. I'm going to bring Cork for myself. Kilkenny, Hurlingland. Okay, great. So you move to the next slide, Michelle. I'll just speak through what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so first of all, again, guys, it's so great to see so many people on. I think we're at a count of 59 at the moment. We're here to present, but obviously after the presentation, we're here as well. We'll share some of that as the presentation goes on. We're delighted that, as I said, you took some time out to come and speak to us and talk to us. So, don't be shy. Put something in the chat. Don't worry. Okay, any question, we'll try and answer it. And if we can't answer it today, we can come back to directly to you guys or directly to Talita. Okay. So just the agenda for today. So I'm going to introduce myself, okay, and the Otonomee story. Michelle is going to go through, I suppose, Otonomee as a purpose and culture. I'm just going to speak a little bit then about the recruitment process and how our recruitment process works. Okay, every company is different, okay, but you might pick up some tips and tricks from ours that helps you either prepare for maybe going for an Otonomee role or maybe another role that you're going for. And Anne-Marie's going to talk about some of the Otonomee roles and just the operation and what we do. Rachel and Gavin are going to speak about the day of a life in their current role, supporting one of our partners, which is Aura. And then, as Talita said, we're going to give the opportunity for breakout rooms. Okay, so again, as people are talking, don't be shy about putting something in the chat, and we'll try and answer to the best of our ability. Okay, so you can move on to the next slide, Michelle. So just before I talk about the Otonomee story, I'll speak a little bit about my own journey because they're quite combined, I suppose. So I think Talita's been a little bit generous when she says 10 years now. It was probably 10 years, 3 years ago. So I don't know when you change that, but I'm glad it's still 10 years experience in the BPO world, right? So I suppose my background is in the BPO, which I'll speak a little bit around the BPO in a minute, because I think for some people it can be a little bit confusing if you're not involved in the BPO world as to what it is and what we do. So I suppose my background, as I said, is in the BPO world. When I left college, I got a job in another BPO in Ireland, and that's where I've been since. Okay, I suppose the company I used to work for, it was a company called Voxpro. Back in the day, Michelle also worked for that company. It was a BPO. It was an Irish company that grew. When I joined, we'd less than 50, and it grew to about 6,000 team members across the globe. Okay. We had offices in Cork and Dublin and Bucharest and the Philippines and the US. Okay, and I suppose why it's very relevant to Otonomee is, I suppose, it was a very successful company. It was a very good company, but there was challenges in the traditional BPO model, right? And some of those challenges is, you have to set yourself up in big cities. You need big offices to store people because that's where the people are. Okay, and we all know some of the challenges with setting up in big cities around, traffic and accommodation and rent and many more things. Okay, so when Otonomee was and I suppose the founder of Otonomee also worked with Voxpro. His name is Aidan O'Shea. Himself and his wife co-founded Otonomee. Me and Aidan used to work together in Voxborough, and every Friday, I think, we used to sit in our office scratching our head because some things were working amazingly well and some things weren't. Okay, the ability to be able to continue to attract people, or losing people, so attrition within our teams was quite high again because some people didn't want to be in the city. They came there for the job, but they would have preferred to have worked where they would want to work. So then COVID happened, okay, and so before COVID happened, even though we had asked a number of customers if we could work from home, and the answer was no. The answer was always, how do you trust people? How do you support people? All those reasons as to why remote work couldn't work, okay. Voxpro was then acquired, and Aidan O'Shea left, okay, and Aidan decided during COVID that he was going to set up his own BPO. Okay, so a lot of the BPOs are big. Aidan and his wife Hilary felt that there was a huge opportunity to create something new. Okay, I suppose to compete with what we call the traditional BPOs, which are those big buildings, big offices, big cities. And Aidan and Hilary felt because of COVID, there was now an opportunity to create something new. Okay, so I always say that we're a COVID-born business. Okay, there's not many good things that have come from COVID. Okay, but hopefully Otonomee in a number of years will be one of those. Okay, so look, that's a brief background of. You can move to the next slide there, Michelle. A brief overview of the background. So I suppose the next next slide there, Michelle. Thanks. So as I mentioned there, the world has changed a little bit. Okay. As we know, okay, the world has changed over the last number of years. Okay, and as I said, it's allowed Otonomee to form. Okay, COVID was a major part of that. Okay, because now what was the norm back 3-4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, is now okay to be questioned when it comes to remote work. You know, a lot of people, we've been on a hiring spree recently, and the amount of applications and the amount of people who are now looking for a remote job, you rewind maybe like 7, 8, 9 years ago, I would say there would be a very small percentage of those numbers looking for remote work. Okay, so the world has changed. Okay, and we're looking to, I suppose, ride the wave of that change. Okay, and customers' expectations have changed and they continue to change. Okay, so you know, I'll speak in a while around like what we're looking for in team members. Okay, you know, customers' expectations now is they get a personalized approach. You know, they get a really premium service, that it's fast. Okay, you know, does anyone now want to wait, you know, 5, 6, 7 days for, you know, a response to their email? They don't. Do they have to for a lot of companies? Yes, they do. Okay, so customers' expectations have changed. Okay, and Otonomee are hoping to be able to provide and support with that. Okay, I suppose we're, and as mentioned there, like we're purposely built to adapt to that change and to solve some of those challenges. Okay. I suppose just if I go around halfway through that slide, okay, so you know, we believe that great brands need great support. Okay, myself and Anne-Marie have done a lot of interviewing together recently, and we always ask questions around like, you know, tell us about a you know, a company where you felt that you got a great support, a premium support. Some people can get it straight away. Some people are like, oh, that's not a good sign. Okay, that if you can't think of one company that has provided really good support, because again, some companies do not feel that great support is what they want. Okay, they might have a great product and they believe that that's enough. Okay, our job as a company is to support some of those great brands. Okay, and so we say here, we believe that great brands need great support. It's probably slightly wrong, or maybe there's something to be added to it, is in like great brands actually believe that they need great support as well. Okay, and so I suppose that's where we come in. Okay, I'll speak about the employee experience in a minute. Okay, we absolutely believe that having a really good employee experience, okay, so leads to and elevates customer experience. Okay, so in simple forms, we believe if we treat people really well, give them trust, give them accountability, and that they will, you know, do a really, really terrific job. Okay, that's, you know, it sounds very simple. Okay, that's the aim, and that's, I suppose, part of what our DNA is. Okay, and Michelle will speak a little bit around us becoming a B Corp and what does that mean. But again, we believe that we can deliver impact and make a difference as a force for good. So one of the reasons the company was set up was very much that we didn't just want to be a revenue generating business. You have to become a revenue generating business or you don't have a business. Okay, so it would be, you know, we have to create money, but we believe that that money then can be put to good use and to become a force for good. Okay. I suppose we're 100% work from home business. Okay, so I know a lot of companies are now moving back to the office. Some companies are hybrid, where it's a day in the office or 2 days in the office and 3 days at home, etc., etc. We only have offices in our homes. Okay, so we, you know, I suppose the old traditional call center was a big center where everybody came together. We don't believe that's possible. We want people to work where they feel that they can work at their best. Okay. So we believe it's better for our team members, we believe it's better for customers, and we also believe it's better for the planet. It allows us to, you know, remove geography and borders to get the best talent. That's what we want. We don't want to just limit ourselves to those people who can again move to Cork or move to Dublin or move to a big city. You know, we don't want people to have to go away from their families, friends, you know, neighborhood, hobbies if they don't want to. Okay. And we also love when people, we also hire a lot of people from cities. It's not that it's, you know, it's not that we don't want people from cities. It's just that we don't need them to live there if they don't want to. Okay. And obviously from a business perspective for us, it helps us to hire people because there's people maybe outside of the cities who maybe don't have jobs or as much opportunities as say someone in a city. So for us, again, it makes business sense to be able to spread our wings and to look for talent wider. Okay, you can move to the next slide there, Michelle. And so, Gary, I'm flying through this, guys, because I know Michelle has me on the clock, so I'm going to fly through. So, look, we never present on anything without talking about our values. Okay, We spent probably the first 2.5 years writing these and talking about them and thinking about them and changing them. And we probably spend the next 2.5 years changing them and editing them, because as a business, we're evolving all of the time. So I'm not going to go through all our values. You can see them there and you can read them there. But I think it's very important for people who want to know what we're about and who we are, and also what would be expected of them if they were to come and join us. And I think, the first value there of autonomy, you'll see words in there like, we're trustworthy, we are brave, we are honest, and we are accountable. That's what, if I had to, in one sentence say what we're looking for people that we hire, that's it. We need people who are accountable. We need people who are adults. We need people who are honest and brave and are curious and can put their hands up and solve solutions, because that's what's expected from us and for our customers. We need to be able to trust people. We allow people to work from where they want, okay, where they find meaning, where they can support their customers. But none of that works as if we can't trust people and if people aren't accountable and brave and do what they said that they were going to do. Okay, so as I said, we speak about our values often. We talk about what they mean. You'll see in the next one, we look for people with growth mindset. Again, I'm not going to go through all the values, but together we grow. There's a word in there, growth mindset. We need people that are, solution focused. And it's not just that we need it, our customers need it, but also if you want to be successful and you want to enjoy it, this is the kind of, I suppose, environment you're coming into. You're coming into an environment that's going to challenge your growth mindset. There's changes, our customers change, we grow, our businesses grow, okay, and that creates change. So again, the people who love autonomy, and I think there's a lot of them that love autonomy, these are some of the skill set that they have. Okay, I know Anne-Marie will speak to some of them as well in a while. Okay, I'll just read the values for everybody. So a big one for us is building personal connections. Okay, so people believe in remote work that you can't build personal connections. They're wrong, without being too straight about it. They're wrong. Okay, we've shown. I think if anyone goes onto Otonomee LinkedIn page now and looks at what we did in Portugal a couple of weeks ago, we had what we call a Together Day, and I can tell you there's a lot of really great personal connections made, and we met for the first time. Some of us met for the first time in person, okay, and it was like that we've worked together forever. So building personal connections is a really big part of what we do. Doing great work is maybe a given, but we have it as a value, okay. Doing great work is multifaceted, okay, but it's a very important piece. We want people to be curious. Again, that goes back to growth mindset, about being brave. We want people to fix things. We're early in our stage as a company. We're building every day. We're building culture. We're building processes. We're building technology. Okay, and we need people who are curious about that. And then we hear all voices. Okay, so Michelle again will speak to some of that. But again, no matter how great, no matter how small, we want people and we want the organization to be doing good in local communities and to the world. Okay, we believe as a remote company, we have a better opportunity to impact loads of communities than we would if we were an office-based company based in a city. Okay, so that's very important to us, that we impact a huge amount of communities in which our team members live. Okay, move on to the next slide, Michelle. Michelle, I'm going to have to take another 5 minutes. All right, you go to the next slide. So what we do, so guys, I'm going to try and summarize this, because like when someone hasn't worked in the outsourcing BPO world, sometimes it can be confusing. Okay, so again, like I suppose the BPO world, to simplify it, was that old traditional contact center or call center. Okay, even though it kind of pains me to say it, because but I suppose what I'm trying to do is explain to people where that's come from. That world has changed like dramatically over the last 20 years. So when you see a show and everybody is inside in one room and there's phones and they're all answering them, okay, that's not what the call center world is anymore, especially not in Otonomee. And I suppose why, so think of it, it was called a call center because it was all calls, okay. Only a small proportion of our jobs now are calls, okay. So, we do chats, we do emails, we do all contracts through social media on WhatsApp, Twitter, because customers now don't want to call. Some customers don't want to just call, okay. So, the world has changed, the contact center world has changed, okay. It's a lot of like value add work. It's all about personalization of that response, okay, to someone who reaches out to you. And you'll see that little kind of diagram there. Some of the stuff we do is around, customer management, which is like onboarding, CX, tech support, across all the digital channels, as I mentioned. So we have an omni-channel solution. So no matter what the customer or where the customer is raising their query, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on WhatsApp, whether it's on email, whether it's on whatever medium, it's coming through the same omni-channel solution to our team. Okay, so we do e-commerce and sales support. We also do consultancy work, we do sales development and tech solutions. Okay, so again, I'm flying through this, but I suppose what I want to do here is give people a kind of a rounded view of what contact center is, okay, and the BPO world is. Okay, it is not, and it definitely is not us because we don't have an office, but it is not that old traditional. If you see an American show now and they're all stuck inside in the contact center and you see chickens walking across the middle of the floor, that's not what a contact center is anymore. And definitely in Otonomee, as I say, we all work from our own professional offices at home, and there's a diverse, I suppose there's diverse mediums in terms of channels in which we communicate with customers. Okay, come over to the next slide, Michelle. So I spoke a while ago about the employee experience. Okay, so I suppose we believe and we know from I suppose being in this industry for a while that if we get really good people, okay, and we're really stringent about who we bring into the organization, and then we look after them across their journey, okay, that they do a really good job. Okay, that's I suppose to really simplify it. So there's a whole, I suppose, journey that we bring team members on when they come in, okay, but the first one is very much getting the right people, okay, and the right people are not always the best people. The right people are the people who we believe can do the job, okay, are committed to that job at that moment in time, and we make a decision on that. So we've just hired maybe 55 people over the last, is it 7 weeks, 8 weeks, and we've met maybe 400, 500, 600 for people for second round interviews, right? A lot of those candidates were really good. But again, we go back and we look at our values, and that helps us to be able to decide as to whether these people that will fit what we're looking for or not. Okay. So you'll see, I'm not going to explain them all, guys, right? So, there's onboarding, we put a huge focus on that. Feedback and recognition is a big part of what we do as a remote business, okay? People want to be recognized. We just had a recognition session only last week in one of our comm sessions to call out all the great work that's happening. Michelle, I think, is going to talk about inclusivity and diversity in a minute. Okay, we do things like stay interviews, which is really like acknowledging people who stay and trying to figure out why they stay and trying to capture that. We've work-life balance there. Okay, again, it's a big part of Otonomee and what we do. We like to call it more like work-life integration. It's like, how do you integrate your life, because balance is different for everybody. Okay, so work-life integration is important for us to be able to allow people to be able to integrate their existing life into work. Okay, so again, look, I think that's just a really quick overview. I suppose I can't understate the focus we put on employee experience, because again, we believe that a really good employee experience is what will make us successful. Okay, like, so Apple have a product, okay, that's what they sell. We don't have a product, okay. What we sell and what we promote to our customers is we can get the best people, they can stay, we can upskill them where we need to, and they're really accountable for the work that they do, okay. And we believe that this journey allows us to be able to support people to do that. Okay. Do I have another slide, Michelle? So we're a small company, okay, and I suppose it's all relative. It depends on where you come from, but we have 160 team members now. Okay, so it's small. If you've come from a company of 80,000 people, then 160 is obviously tiny. If you've come from a company of 2 people, then 160 is big. Okay, so it's all relative. But I suppose in our mind, we're a small company right now, and we've got big plans to grow. But you just see here, I love this slide, even though we're a small company. And here's the nationalities of the people who work for us already. We've got 16 different nationalities. We haven't updated the slide from 115. That was only 6 or 7 weeks ago that we were at 115. So we're at 160 now. And we have people who speak 7 different languages. Okay. As well as that, we're based in Ireland, okay, predominantly, and Portugal. Okay, that's where we have legal entities in. We also have an employee in Bulgaria. We have an employee in the Philippines, and our aim is to continue to expand the team across across the globe. Okay, so I think that's me. Sorry, no, it's a very fast tour. I think, Michelle, you gave me like 20 minutes. I was never going to get through all those in 20 minutes. So hopefully I gave a good overview. And Michelle, I'll pass to yourself.
Thanks, Brendan. Talita, is there any questions before I jump into my piece?
No, I don't think so. Just want to remind everyone, a few people haven't sent me the breakout rooms yet. If you can do that on the chat. I noticed the chat isn't working for some people, so you can use the Q&A on top, and I will get your message there. I also haven't been able to assign a couple of people, so I will be in touch with you on private to see what's going on. It might be, if you're using Teams on a browser, it might not support breakout rooms. So if you want to download Teams on your laptop or on your phone, whatever you're using, and join again, it might solve that issue. But I will contact you directly. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Michelle.
Thanks, Talita. So I'm Michelle. I'm the Culture and Community Specialist. I'm going to talk a bit about our purpose and culture. As Brendan said, it's important for you to know what we're all about if you're looking at Otonomee. So I think this delves into that. So we were founded with 3 pillars at our core: people, partners, and community. So as Brendan said, as well as making a profit, we wanted to sort of do well to do good. So we wanted to make a profit in order to be purpose driven and to sort of give back to people and planet. So we found a great framework to do that in the shape of B Corp. Maybe pop in the chat if you've ever heard of B Corp before. I'd be interested to know if anyone's ever heard of it. So B Corp is a global nonprofit centered around the idea that businesses, being such significant actors in society, should be a force for good, and they should be benefiting not just shareholders, but all stakeholders. So people, planet, the people that work there, all our partners that we work with. So it was very natural for us to go for this because it was so in line with what we already wanted to do, but it provided a really important framework for us because obviously businesses are busy and we wanted to stay on track and make sure we actually did all these good things. So we found B Corp back in the end of 2021, started working on it in earnest in 2022. It's a very long process. So we certified in September 2023, which was amazing for a services company. It's probably quite rare. This needs updating again, and that's because the amount changes all the time. There's now over 8,000 B Corps globally. So like we're part of a giant network of companies that want to have a positive impact on the planet, and there's a lot of collective action and working together. So that's something we're very proud to be a part of. All our initiatives, I suppose, that we work on kind of are given a framework by B Corp, I suppose. Obviously, because we're here today, that we're very focused on diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. We added on accessibility because we felt that being remote first, we removed barriers to employment that some people have. Obviously, some people, and maybe some of you listening now, aren't able to work in a traditional office environment, which is completely fair enough. And we felt we were uniquely placed to sort of help people to find roles that might not want to work in a traditional office or might not feel able to. So key to that is our partnership with Open Doors Initiative, and we also work with a similar organisation in Portugal, Incorpora, who place people with barriers to employment in roles. So I'm not going to read all this out, but this is our commitment statement to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility down at the end here. You'll see it's kind of a part of everything we do. It's a part of all of our decision making, and everyone is very involved in it. So for any initiative I talk about, there's committees and employees behind it. It's certainly not just being run by a couple of people in HR or anything like that. It's a company-wide effort. So some of our D&I things at the moment include training all employees, which Open Doors are so helpful with. We're looking at a recruitment and onboarding process to make sure that if people do come in that have barriers to employment, that they're coming into an inclusive environment. We're looking at surveys and targets around diversity and things like that. And as Brendan touched on, we're in so many locations, so many nationalities. So a big thing for us is sharing our stories. And we love that. We love learning about each other and learning our different stories and our diverse backgrounds. And that's kind of, I think, part of what makes us successful. Then in the corporate social justice space, so it's kind of the newer version of CSR, I suppose, which would be charity and giving, and it's kind of focused around making tangible impacts on people who have issues in their lives, like communities and things like that. So we have a local and global giving strategy. We feel we can make a greater impact on like more communities because we are geographically diverse and we're not all in one city. So through that, obviously B Corp is a part of it. We're very focused on sustainability. And then a big part of our CSJ strategy is our partnership with B1G1. So they're a global business giving platform. They allow us to create global impacts. We can pick a location and we can do things like provide water, provide education, different things to people in that location. And we like to link that to our everyday work. So if someone passes probation, or if it's their birthday, or if they get a promotion, we will send them a choice of impacts that they can make. And then it's kind of really linking our purpose to our everyday activity. And I should say as well, before we move on, that, as I said, there's amazing committees and everything behind all of this. It's really like a kind of run by all employees. Everyone sort of builds our culture together, and anyone that joins Otonomee has great opportunities to get involved in things like this. So Brendan talked about our values, one of which is build personal connection. Obviously, being remote first, we have to be quite intentional about creating opportunities to connect. I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can see here that you can see all the pictures of us all together, first of all, but you can see we're constantly looking for ways to connect with each other. We have regular coffee chats, together days. We have a night owls network for people that work night shifts. We team people up into little groups that might have never met before, and they meet for coffee online and things like that. So our culture is really thriving, and that's a big focus of mine. But I'm just the one that kind of keeps it running, I suppose. Like, everyone is really involved in it and really committed to engagement, and everybody gets involved, which is fantastic. So I won't get you to take my word for it, and I won't read all these out, but here's some of what the employees have to say about everything we're doing and what it means to them, what the culture means to them, what B Corp means to them, what our engagement efforts mean to them, and how they find working in Otonomee in general. Yeah, so that's kind of my part of it, just to give you a little background on our purpose and our culture. But if anyone has questions, feel free to jump in, and I'll be in a breakout room as well later if you want to ask any questions about it then.
Perfect. Thanks, Michelle.
Handing back over to Brendan.
Perfect, thank you. So guys, I'm going to speak a little bit around our recruitment process. As I said to you guys, you know, every company's recruitment process is maybe slightly different, but a lot of them are similar. Okay, and I think a lot of companies are looking for similar stuff. You know, like attitude and as a growth mindset, and looking for people obviously with skills. Okay, but skills are part of it. Okay, and for us, skills are a part of what we're looking for, and the other part is we're looking for the person. We're looking for a person again that we can trust, that we feel will be accountable for the work that they do. So you can move to the next slide there, Michelle, and I'll just give a quick overview of how the process runs. So I suppose like I suppose the way I describe Otonomee is professional and informal, I think, is probably the way to describe us. Okay, and so that is the way we like to do interviews. Okay, so we don't believe you hear these stories of companies doing 10 rounds of interviews. Okay, we don't believe it. Okay, we don't believe in it. Okay, we also don't believe in, you know, that someone should feel like terribly stressed after their interview. Okay, because again, what we're trying to find is the person. We're trying to find their experience, and we want to see them. Okay, we don't want to see the person who's, you know, so scared that they're learning off all these examples. That doesn't do us any good. Okay, it doesn't do the candidate any good either. So I suppose firstly is we're informal but professional. Okay, so like we expect people to be very well prepared for their interview. We expect people to be able to do research before it. We don't expect people to arrive into an interview, you know, and thinking which company is this again. Okay, I can guarantee if people turn up that way, they won't get a job, no matter of their skills. Okay, because that tells us that they actually really don't want to work with us. They just want a job. Okay, and so it is very important to us. at Otonomee is when people are coming and it's because they want to work with Otonomee. They like our story, they like our values, they like our website. Maybe they've spoken to someone and told them that it was a really good company to work with. They're the people that we want, okay? And then obviously secondary then is the skills. People need to have the skills to be able to do the job, okay? So we have a first round interview, and it's usually with the recruitment team, okay? So when someone applies for one of our roles, okay, all of our roles are on our website, okay? Sometimes we'll put up roles and we'll take them back down and put them up, okay? The reason for that is because we don't like people having to wait a long time for a response. So if we put up a job today and we get 400 applicants, okay, we may decide to take that job down for a couple of days, okay, to be able to get through those candidates, okay? As I said, we are a small company, which means then we have a small HR department and a small hiring team. So our recruitment team will then look at all of those applications, okay, and they will bring people to for a 30-minute chat for the first interview, okay. Like that is I suppose the best way to describe it, that's a make or break at the start, okay. So if you don't, if you don't make a good impression on the recruiter that you're talking to, because I've had people come back to me before saying, oh, I didn't think that was the real interview. I thought that the real interview was when the hiring manager comes, and we're like, no, like every time you talk to an Otonomee person is the audition, okay? So like the first round interview with recruitment, they will make that decision as to whether they believe that you're a good culture fit, okay? And I suppose, what does that mean? Okay, it means that, are you energetic? As I said, have you done your research? Do you know about Otonomee? What is your motivation for wanting a remote job? Okay, it's those things, okay? They don't get into the technical piece about the job, okay? Because that's what the hiring manager will do in the second interview, but they are making a decision based on your preparation, and obviously they'll have a look at your skills as well. Unfortunately, all we can do is when you get 400 CVs, right, as an example, and you have to hire 15 people, of course we'll need to make some decisions based on people's CVs. So for, when you're sending in your CV, make sure that it's a true reflection of who you are, okay? And it's a true reflection, and you've put time and thought into that CV, because unfortunately, we have to make a decision, that first decision to get that number of 400 down to 100 people. We have to make that decision based on CVs. So that's the first round interview. Everything is done obviously online because we don't have a physical office, okay? And if you're successful then, okay, you will go to a second round interview, okay? And that will usually be with the hiring team. So for example, in an operations role, you could be sitting with Anne-Marie, and Anne-Marie could be interviewing you, and potentially then one of the recruitment team as well, okay? So the hiring team is usually the direct manager, and someone different from the recruitment team, okay? And then that's more competency based, which I'll talk about in a minute, okay? But really what we're doing is looking to really go into your experience, examples of, good customer support, and how you've done that, okay? Maybe in some roles, if it's a little bit more technical, it's like, what's your technical experience, et cetera, but it's going a little bit deeper, okay? Language test is usually next. Language test is a 10-minute thing. It's online again, okay? So if you're successful in the first and second round interviews, you'll usually be sent a language test, okay? Why? Because we have to, okay, have really good language skills, right? For most cases, it's really good, like written English, okay? Because again, a lot of our customers are spread around the world. We've a lot of US customers that contact us, okay? So what we look for is a C1 and above when it comes to languages. Okay. We've put in there like potentially a third round interview. It depends on the role. Okay. So for maybe more senior roles, or maybe if there's a lot of really good candidates, we may have a third interview, but that's usually the exception, is the third interview, really, right? Usually we have enough between the first round and the second round that, we do our debrief, and we have a good indication as to what that person is like, and whether they're going to be a fit. The second round interview usually takes somewhere between 45 minutes and 1 hour. Okay, so that's usually the time frame. Okay, again, what I recommend here is like, make sure that, this is like my, pardon the pun, this is like my pet hate, is in like, make sure that you have the room clear, that there's not like a dog barking into your ear for the whole time, because for you it can be distracting and you might be able to bring your best self. We love when people are working and they have their dog under the table. But in something like an interview, you know, you don't want someone to knock on the door and your dog to go cracked, or your pet to, you know, jump up in your face, or whatever happens in an interview that could disturb you. Okay, so again, have a room to yourself. Make sure you're not disturbed. If you've got people in the house, tell them that you're doing an interview for that hour. Those things make a difference. Okay, because again, there's things that we work from. We're a remote organization, but we don't work from places that we get distracted. We all have a place in our houses where we work. It's professional. It's in, it's our space. Okay. And so, those things in interviews are important as well, that we don't see people being distracted. And again, you probably can't bring your best self if you're being distracted anyway in that interview. Okay. You can move to the next slide there, Michelle. I spoke a little bit about this is the second round interview. Just before I do that, just around like the tips for interview, and I've kind of, I suppose, given some there kind of organically as I was talking. One is like, be sure that you know the job description. Okay, so like we put a job description out there that we've, that's a true reflection of the role. Okay, we're going to talk to you about the job description, and about your skills and experience. Know the role that you've applied for. Okay, make sure you do your prep, because if you haven't done your prep you don't know exactly what the role is. And look, this can happen, especially when people are looking for jobs and they've put out a lot of applications. Okay, and they can be confused. Okay, but you can't be, okay, because if you're confused and you don't know what role you're going for, and you don't exactly know what you're looking for, and you don't exactly know a job description, unfortunately, there's a good chance you won't get that job, again, because at Otonomee, we're looking for people who want to come work for us. Okay. Again, probably in the same thing as like research the client, research the role. It'll help again to be able to get your motivation across. Okay, if you're clear on that role. Okay. It might sound like a simple thing, but like, know your CV. Okay, you'd be surprised at the amount of people that come into interviews and they're like, oh, I think I was there in 2019. I think I stayed a year. And then you're looking at this CV and someone started in 2019 or 17 and they lasted 6 months. Okay, like again, for us, that feels that someone has not prepared. And our team and Marie and the hiring team have taken time out to interview someone. Our expectation is that they will be after doing prep before that interview. Okay, and so again, if you want to be successful, if you want to give yourself the best opportunity to be successful, preparation for that interview is for us is really important. Okay. And I said, like, reflect on your achievements and have 1 to 2 ready to share. So again, like it isn't an interrogation of an interview. It's quite like, as I said, like it's very professional but informal. We're trying to understand who the candidates are. Okay, so like, be prepared again and know and be, one of the things I ask sometimes is in like, what are you proud of in your career? So I've given the guys one of the questions away, any if you ever have to interview with me. But that's important to us. We want to understand who people are, what are they proud of, what are the projects that they've been involved in, and what roles that they've played in those projects. Okay, so probably everybody is familiar with the STAR method, but we use the STAR method. Or we expect, and we use it, and we expect people to talk it. And again, I won't get into it because you can find it, but like, really, the S is like, explain the situation. T is, talk about the task, the problem. Okay. And then the A piece is, describe the actions that you personally took. Okay, because you can see the percentage. Really, that's what we're looking for. We're trying to understand what you have done in your career. Of course, you were part of projects where the team were successful. Okay, but what role did you play in it? What skills did you use in that? Okay, and then when you link that in your mind to the job description of what we're looking for, that's what we're looking for. Okay, so, and then the R then is just explaining the results of that thing. So again, if you can form when you're preparing, and again, whether that's an Otonomee or someone else, I can guarantee you that if you structure your interviews in this method, okay, where you're thinking about each of those stages, you'll be able to, and you'll be confident in those answers. Okay. So Michelle, just to the next slide there. So I'm going to be in breakout room number 1. So again, I'll be doing things around like maybe support department. So if anyone is like in marketing or HR or finance and that's their interest, okay, I can talk to you guys about that. Okay, because I think that's the last time I'm talking for now. So Anne-Marie, I'm going to pass it over to yourself.
Perfect. Thanks, Brendan. So I might just give a quick intro on myself first before I jump into it. So my name is Anne-Marie, and a big thanks to everyone for kind of taking the time and the interest again in Otonomee today. So my role within the company is a group manager. So what that kind of effectively means is I support the team managers support their teams, and I do a kind of an element as well of, I suppose, client partnership management as well, and kind of a lot of focus around, I suppose, strategic improvements, technology improvements, working with the IT team, and also as well, I suppose, like just looking at process enhancements. So where can we get more efficient? Where can we make life easier for the agents who are delivering the role at the end of the day? So that's kind of my role, I suppose, really within Otonomee. So a little bit of my background. I've worked for a previous BPO as well. I kind of started very much in administration support when I started on an internship in college. I suppose I just got very lucky. Opportunity was there at that time, and I actually returned to college for my final year and came back. And then I ended up moving into WFM. So what that ultimately is workforce management. So I suppose being responsible for annual leave requests, updating absences, looking at holiday balances, schedules, capacity planning as well, as which where we look at how many resources do we need to, I suppose, support a customer. And then I also moved into reporting as well for a period of time. So naturally, those two kind of roles really set me up for success within operations, because that is a lot of the role is looking at the team sizes and looking at the metrics and the trends and what do they tell us. So Michelle, if you just jump on to the next slide. So this is a selection of our partners, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but I suppose I might pick some of the key ones. So if anyone is aware of Otonomee previous to this, you'd probably see an awful lot about Aura at the moment. So Aura is a technology kind of company that have wearables. So they're in the health tech industry. So ultimately what it is a smart ring. And it's very, very cool. We support them from a member experience perspective, and we also support them from a tech perspective. So ultimately their goal is, I suppose, to be the top provider for smart rings within the world. They have 1 million plus members at the moment. They're growing, they're expanding, and it's all very exciting. And you'll hear a little bit more about Aura, so I won't jump into it too much. I don't want to steal the thunder from Rachel and Gavin, because they'll give you a day in the life of there shortly. So a couple of other accounts, I suppose, maybe as standouts. Levels is another one. It is in the wearable and the fitness kind of industry as well. So it's CGMs, and they have an app to support glucose monitoring, but it's also more around the health focus around understanding your glucose, your spikes that food give you. We support them on US hours, so you'll see there's a couple of flags on some of our customers here. It's where they're based and the hours, I suppose, that we're supporting for them. Very exciting, big opportunity in that space, and they're expanding, they're growing as well, and it's exciting to be part of that journey. So Slendertone then is the first one on the slide. So people might recognize the name from a few years ago, but ultimately what it is, wearable and fitness again, it is I suppose a belt that supports kind of pulses that help with, I suppose, getting healthier and getting fit, and kind of, I suppose, presenting abs as well to people. So you should look them up. They're very cool. It's across a bunch of languages at the moment is how we support them. So we're supporting German, Spanish, Italian, French. What's the really exciting thing about this partner is we're using a technology to support them. So we do have people who are native language speakers for those languages. We're using a translation tool to also support them. So again, back to Brendan's point, that traditional call center is very much not the case anymore. It's very much we kind of prefer around a contact center, or just a member experience or customer experience environment. We did a little bit of work as well with Leia Healthcare in the past, just around their operations, and I suppose helping them in terms of looking at their processes, looking at their systems, how can we get more efficient, more effective? And there was a little bit of a team of us that kind of ran with that, and we supported from a technology perspective as well, and it was pretty cool. So then maybe one more, and one that I have to say really stands out to me is Mobility Mojo. So this is a very refreshing, I suppose, account, and it's very rewarding to see grow. So what they do ultimately is they have a product that they sell to other companies to promote accessibility within various verticals of businesses. So they look at the likes of manufacturing plants, they look at banks, they look at hotels, for instances, and what they have is a global report that you fill out based on criteria of your business, and then they can rate based on the global standard. I suppose what score do you ultimately get for accessibility based on the global standards that are out there in the world. So we have we have a small team behind that at the moment. There are good growth plans for that account. We support various different kind of companies, I suppose, who have different buildings in many parts of the world. But I suppose it's really rewarding, and again, it's very different than supporting social media, emails. We're working on report generation for clients ultimately to, I suppose, to make a difference in the accessibility of their buildings, and for their overall companies. So really exciting, really rewarding, and it's a pleasure to have them as one of our partners. So Michelle, if you just want to jump on, and if anyone has any questions on any of the partners, please feel free to jump in as well. So we've kind of spoken about the roles at Otonomee, I suppose, as we've been kind of going through this. So I will, I suppose, call out that Aura is one of the most open roles at the moment. So it's particularly around customer service. So it is a hybrid role, is kind of what we're calling it. So we want people who are customer focused, customer savvy, but there is a little bit of tech in there as well. So it's just to bear that in mind. So there's shift patterns available from 12 noon to 12 midnight, and we're also hiring a night shift as well that is covering up until 3 a.m. So with all of our roles in Otonomee, and kind of as Brendan said, we're looking at the person as well. Skills are exciting, but we want people who are the right fit for Otonomee. And we spoke about being adults, being mature, but what else does that mean in terms of competencies or skills that we're looking for? So over here on the screen on the left hand side, you will see that this is really what we're looking for. So we're looking for people who are accountable of their own work. They'll take ownership, that they're proactive. So we want people who, have an idea or they have an improvement and they bring that to the table. Like, we want to hear about those improvements. We don't want that to be left to just the managers. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's our agents who are doing the role day to day. They're the people who know it best, so they know best sometimes what are the enhancements and the improvements we can deliver. We're looking for people as well with problem solving and resilience. So what we find is a lot of our partners could be in a startup phase, or they could be going through a period of time where they're growing, and sometimes there's unknowns, I suppose, in terms of what's next or what is the different market going to bring. So we want people who are problem solvers and ultimately can help address some of the issues that maybe we don't have a canned response for, maybe we don't have a knowledge base answer just yet, and be a part of shaping that. With that as well, I suppose we want people who are quality focused, again, open to change. We all know this world is changing so much. I mean, look at AI, look at ChatGPT. That wasn't a thing if we go back even 2-3 years ago. So open to change as well in terms of technologies and maybe trialing technologies within the accounts. We're looking for people as well, I think they're the core competencies of customer service, that have empathy, that I suppose have a great attitude as well. And ultimately, most importantly, is excellent communication skills. So as well for us, I think, leadership is a big thing for us, and this feeds into a lot of our values around growth mindset, critical thinking, and ultimately proactiveness. So we're not just looking for that in a senior manager role, we're looking for that in every role, because I suppose where we are as a business is where the people who are expanding Otonomee at the moment, that will bring opportunity. So again, it's back to the person and what we feel is aligned with our values. So kind of throughout the slide here, you'll see a couple of kind of main headings, which I'll go through in a second. But one of the things I really want to call out, and this is kind of really powerful, I think, is we have down here on the left-hand side is guardians of our culture. And I suppose I just want to give a little bit of input to this and maybe a bit of context. So we were at a Portugal meetup and we were kind of discussing Otonomee and what people love about Otonomee. And it was actually a member of our team kind of came up with this quote of, we're the guardians of our culture. And Michelle spends an awful lot of time speaking about our culture here today, but also a lot of work goes on to shape our culture and to maintain our culture, especially as we're growing across our teams. So I suppose for me, that's definitely something fantastic to see that we use it as a business now, because it was feedback from somebody internally. So again, just hearing all voices and having that impact. So some of our roles here, so customer experience, I can see in the chat there's a lot of people interested in the kind of customer experience and the kind of tech side of the house. So I'll jump into those first maybe. So what kind of roles are within that realm of, I suppose, our business? You have your customer service agents, and that could range from anything to, you know, supporting on phone support, email support, live chat support, social media support. There could be pieces, like I mentioned as well, around report generation. There could be other elements around, I suppose, kind of analysis as well. With that, to support that team, you're going to need team leaders. So you're going to need people who can support their team in the background, you know, who can be proactive and show that leadership style, I suppose, to their teams and ultimately to the partners as well. Then we kind of have the group managers who ultimately kind of support that operations as well and support the partner. And then we have operations managers as well who we report into so that they understand what's going on with the business with the multiple different streams of partners. So jumping into technical support, like tech support agents, ultimately is one of the key roles naturally. You will have team leaders as well who may be a little bit more tech savvy, but again, all of our values and all of the kind of points we're talking about are really important. In human resources, we'll have recruitment support, as Brendan kind of mentioned. And look, we've had a big ramp recently with Aura and a lot of recruitment. So ultimately, you know, we had to hire recruitment support. You will have HR administrators and ultimately then a recruitment manager who will all support Brendan, ultimately deliver, I suppose, an end goal and meet targets and meet kind of deadlines for when we have to have people on board. In terms of workforce management, we have a WFM manager, we have WFM analysts, and we'll soon be hiring an RTA. So there's very different kind of functions within those at different levels, but ultimately they're all required to make sure that we have a seamless operation, that we have people on the certain queues that we should, that, you know, not everybody has the same day off, that we have enough people online as well. In terms of quality, this is probably one of the key roles, I think, within operations to support any partner. So we have quality managers and we have quality analysts. So they would look at various things around, you know, certain quality metrics, certain sentiment analysis on interactions that then might feed into improvements. Training, ultimately, you know, it's the core, I suppose, ultimately of operations. So we have a training manager and we are hiring a training support at the moment. And ultimately they deliver the training. They deliver refresher training. They might help somebody if they're a different type of learner versus, for example, visual versus audio. So they would kind of lead that with operations as well. Reporting, we have a data engineer currently, and reporting analyst is something that'll come as the business grows. But I suppose like that's key as well. What are our customers telling us? What are the metrics telling us? What are the trends? Maybe we can have impact back to our partners to say, hey, you know, we're actually seeing that there's a issue with this product, for example, on this particular line. That then is powerful information back to a partner. And then, of course, especially being a remote company, we can't forget about our IT team. So we call them MITs. So we've help desk support and we have IT managers and we have a head of IT as well. Ultimately, that is essential to a remote operation and to any even on-site operation. But you know, there's a lot of work goes on there as well with technology enhancements. I mean, our IT team are constantly busy. So this is just to kind of give a snapshot, I suppose, of what kind of roles are currently there within our business. They're not open roles right now, but again, like these will continue to grow as the business continues to grow. So, or really right now is the main one around customer support. And as I said, it has a tech savvy element to it as well. So that's kind of an overview. So I don't know if anyone has any questions. I will be in breakout room 2, which is the team manager one. But that's just kind of a snapshot of Otonomee kind of behind the scenes. So Michelle, if you just flick on. Perfect. So I'm going to hand you over now to, I believe it's Rachel first, then followed by Gavin. And they're going to give you a day in the life of Aura, which is kind of the account that we're hiring for at the moment. So hopefully that'll give you good insight.
And Marie, there was just one question on the chat, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so the question was, in terms of skills and educational qualifications, what are the requirements for each of the roles? I don't think you'll be able to get into the specifics of each role, but maybe just indicate that in general.
Yeah, in general. So I suppose what we would always look for is we would look for people with experience. If I take maybe Aura as an example, and I'm happy to do a follow-up as well if there's any specific role you have in mind. So if we look at Aura, Aura is a premium customer who is when they're looking for a premium member experience. Their product is a premium product as well. So ultimately, we're looking for people who have experience in a customer service role. The reason is it's easier because they can bring the existing skill sets, they can bring the existing experiences. And what we'd look for as well that isn't essential always is, depending on the channel we're supporting, we may look for experience in that channel, but it's not always a necessity. So for example, with Aura, we are very much supporting them from an email and I suppose a chat functionality in time, and maybe a phone support. Like, it's still evolving. So we would look for that type of experience as well. In terms of skills, I think if you always look at a job description, the skills are within that job description. So make sure you take a good look at it. But I mean, you're going to look for your stereotypical things of empathy, communication, problem solving, proactiveness. We would look for an element of leadership as well, to support your team, teamwork. And those are just the ones I suppose I'm rambling off the top of my head at the moment. So I hope that helps answer your question. But I'm happy to be asked more questions in room 2 later if that helps. Perfect.
Great. Thanks, Anne-Marie. So my name is Rachel, and as you can see, I'm here with my colleague Gavin today to speak to you about our experience so far working at Otonomee on the Aura contract. So we both started here in early April, so we're not in the business very long, but so far we've had a really great experience working for Otonomee. The culture here is truly one of inclusivity, growth, and autonomy, pardon the pun, but we really feel that we're trusted in our roles, and management really believes in our capabilities. We've found everyone that we've come into contact with so far in the business to be very friendly and helpful to us as new starters. A big thing at Otonomee, in most remote jobs, it's really difficult to get to know the people, not only on your team, but on other teams in the business. But we found there's a lot of meetings set up, as Michelle was speaking about, like the night owls meeting for night shift workers and coffee dates. So it's been great opportunities to get to know other people in the business and not just our own team. Myself and Gavin have also found that the leaders at both Otonomee and Aura really want to see you develop and achieve any goals you may have. So there's a lot of opportunity for growth within both Otonomee and Aura. We can see that Otonomee's values are amazing, and as such, so are the values at Aura. So it's making it a very pleasant work experience so far. I'm going to pass you over to Gavin now, who's going to give you a nice overview of a day in the life at Aura.
Thanks, Rachel. So with the Aura contract, we have 2 shift patterns, 12 to 8:30 and 3:30 to 12. On either shift, we log in and work tickets in the queue. A ticket represents an email from one of our members. Queries from the members include things like tech issues and other order-related questions. Typically, I'll enter a meeting room with the rest of my team, and we'll chat and work on tickets with the team. This is super helpful because there's 12 of us in our total team, so the chances are one of us is going to see a tricky ticket or a tricky question and help each other, and it's really inclusive, like what Rachel was saying. We also have a 15-minute meetup every day, so it gives us a chance to sync with everybody else. And there's something we're interested in implementing going forward, which is the Tricky Ticket Clinic, which essentially we're hoping to put it somewhere in the middle of the 2 shifts where we can kind of come in once a day and like what we're doing. Not everyone is in the meeting group, but like what we're doing, we can all kind of come together and go, what are you struggling with today? Can I help? And this is what we're working towards. So thank you everyone for your time. And if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Great. Thanks, guys. So I think if there's no questions, we're happy to go into our break rooms, Salita.
So we're having technical difficulties. So I was not able to assign about 10 people to the breakout room. So to be fair to everyone, what I decided to do was create 3 separate Teams meetings, and I'll just share the link if that's okay, and then everyone can just join whatever breakout room they want. If you join the wrong room by mistake, just come back to this meeting. I'll stay here and I will send you the right link. Michelle, I've already invited you to breakout room 3 over email, so you can join that, and I'm hoping that you'll have all the permissions that you need. Lydia, who's my colleague, is on breakout room 1, Brandon, so she'll help you if there's any issues, and I will join breakout room 2 and then 3 and then we'll figure it out. So sorry about that, everyone.
Don't worry.
I did do a lot of research here, and the issues are just very random. I don't know how to support people. So I just sent the 3 links there. So breakout room 1 is for support, breakout room 2, team manager, and breakout room 3, customer and tech support. You can just click on the link there. I know some people are having trouble with the chat, but I think you can still see the chat. If you can't, send me a message on the Q&A and I will figure something out. Thanks, everyone. We'll not be coming back here after the breakout rooms, which we usually do, just say our goodbye. So I will say thank you to the speakers now. Thanks, everyone, and thanks everyone who attended. Please join the breakout rooms. If I will be there, and we'll see each other if there's any issues as well. Thanks so much.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Thanks a
Yeah,
lot.
thanks for having
everyone.
us. Thanks.